Hello, everybody, and welcome to Let's Coach 2023. This is Liz Cresci, Strategic Growth Coach, and I'm super excited about today. First, let me remind you that this is brought to you by Life Coach University, and we here at Life Coach University are on a mission to coach millions more, and we're thrilled that you're here. So you're obviously familiar with us. I hope you've taken the time to check out our website and see some of the other offerings we have. Our monthly PIF talks from all the different coaches that we have, and all the other exciting things. And we'd love it if you would help us by paying it forward and just letting people know that we're here and we're here to support and to help. And, sometimes it's just about having that one person or a group in this case to kind of be your sounding board, right? So that brings me to our logistics. You're welcome to raise your hand if you like, if you want to talk voice to voice, or if you want to join in the conversation, or if you feel better about it, you can just throw your comments. I welcome all comments, or your questions or your issues into the Q&A. And it doesn't have to be about today's topic. It can be whatever's on your mind. And I'd love to have conversation around that and hopefully, kind of help you gain a new perspective and move forward through whatever obstacle it is that you're facing. So with that said, again, welcome. I'm Liz Cresci, Strategic Growth Coach and faculty coach here at Life Coach University. So I was thinking about, what could we have conversation around today? And today, I want to talk about starting a new year of growth and possibilities. And I want to do that because it's something that's very much on my mind. So today's my birthday. Yay, happy birthday, me. Anyway, and so it's very much on my mind. I'm embarking on a new year that's just for me. Unlike the first of the year, that's a new year for everyone, or the Chinese New Year or other cultures' New Year's, right? This is my new year. And so I've found in the past that I've often done my resolutions, if you will, which I don't love the whole concept of New Year's resolutions, but I love the concept of thinking about what I want the year of 2023 to be. Like, I'll give myself a word or a phrase that is important to me for that year. And so 2023 for me personally is about intention and growth. I want to be much more aware and intentional about what I do, say, be, how I spend my money, like everything, how I spend my time. And I want growth. I want to move forward. So, but today is the start of a new year that's just for me. And so while I was thinking about it, me and my quotes, right? I came upon a few of them that I thought were really poignant, and they really kind of speak to this topic. And Oprah Winfrey has said that every year should teach you something valuable. Whether you get the lesson is up to you. Every year brings you closer to expressing your whole and healed self. And that's really what it's about, right? You're gonna get lessons, from wherever, whether things go well. If things go well, there's definitely a lesson there. What did I learn? What can I repeat? How can I make this happen again? And there's always a lesson to be learned when things don't go quite so well, right? And I think we focus on that a lot. Like, oh, that didn't work. What did I learn from that? But why can't we focus on, wow, that really worked. What can I learn from that? I think they're both equally important. But when, as they say, what you focus on expands, right? And that which you think about, you bring about, and all those good sayings. It's, if you focus on the beauty and you focus on the things that go super well, you're going to get more of that. Don't you want more of that? Right? So the year's going to teach you something. Absolutely. Whether or not you learn it, that's totally up to you. And you have to be seeking the lesson and the learning. Samuel Altman said, nobody grows old merely by living a number of years. We grow old by deserting our ideals. Years may wrinkle the skin, but giving up enthusiasm wrinkles the soul. And that's true, right? Age is just a number. Who hasn't heard that before? And it really is. Honestly, the more the beauty of the internet now is everything's at our fingertips. Well, that's also not so much the beauty, but you hear stories of people that you've never heard before. Like there's one woman and her first name is Ernestine, and I think her last name is Shepherd. I'm not sure, but she's a woman she's American, and she's like 80 something years old. And she's been in the Guinness Book of World Records as the oldest bodybuilder. Don't ask me why I'm obsessed with this woman. Well, I think she's amazing. But she never started exercising until she was in her mid-50s. That's so inspirational. And it reminds me too, I was watching a show years ago, and there was a woman they were featuring, and she was a potter, like she made pottery and ceramics and things like that. And she was in her 90s, and she was a well-known potter at that point. And what struck me about the story, and I don't remember anything else about this story, other than the fact that she had never touched a piece of clay until she was in her late 40s. So I guess what these stories are bringing up for me as I hit my middle stride is that it doesn't matter. Like age, it's just a number. And it just shows how many times you've been on this earth going around the sun, right? But it's what you do with those years. And it's never too late. And I mean, raise your hand if you have ever felt that time is slipping away. And that's one of the reasons I got into coaching, right? And I'm sure you've heard me tell you my story about my wake-up call was a postcard. It was a postcard for my 20th high school reunion. And that was like, it was like you punched me in the nose when I read that. It literally took the breath out of me, because I realized in that moment that 20 years had passed. It was like I woke up from a dream or from sleepwalking, and I had no idea what was going on. I was still waiting to figure out, what do I want to do when I grow up? What do who do I want to become? My life doesn't look like what I thought it would. Expectations. And, it threw me for a loop. And this happens to people all the time. And we, whatever, we chalk it up to this, that, or the other thing. So it's never the wrong time. And, don't wait until everything is just right. It will never be perfect. It never will be perfect. How many times, if you have children, how many times have you heard people say, or have you said yourself, like, oh, this isn't the right time to have kids? Here to tell you, there's never a good time, because nothing is ever going to be perfect. You just kind of have to jump in. Sometimes you have to hold your nose and jump in, right? And just trust in the process. So don't wait until everything is just right. It will never be perfect. There will always be challenges, obstacles, and less than perfect conditions. That's a given, right? I know that our lizard brain, our amygdala, wants to protect us from the rustling in the trees that might be a tiger. Well, in most cultures today, that's not even a possibility, but we still feel that way, right? Those challenges and obstacles and less than perfect conditions, they're what help make us so strong, right? Trees. There was a story years ago about the biodome. It was a thing they did in Texas, I guess, here in the States. And they created a whole biosphere on the earth that was like it reminds me of the show Star Trek, right? Like where they had like a whole city with trees and all sorts of stuff. And it was there for years. And this tree that does well out in the wild, right? If you just took the top off, right? It fell over in the biodome. But it grew to like 60 or 100 feet or something amazing like that, just like it did out in the open, but it didn't have the same conditions. It was in perfect conditions. No wind, sunny every day. You know, the weather was always the right temperature and just enough moisture, just enough nutrients in the soil. Everything was perfect. But the tree fell over. And the tree fell over because it didn't have the obstacles. It didn't have the wind pushing on it and straining it and stressing it. It didn't have the lack of water this week and the abundance of water next week. It didn't have the nutrients washing through the soil or the little bugs crawling on it or the little, squirrels in it making their nests. It didn't have any hardship. So it could not grow the roots deep and strong enough to be able to sustain it. That's what obstacles and challenges do for us. They show us what we're made of. So it's about getting started now and taking each step. You grow stronger because of those obstacles, right? And more and stronger, and you get more skilled. And then in those skills and tackling those adversities gives you more self-confidence. And that's what makes you more successful. So as I'm stepping into this year of myself, these are the thoughts that are going around in my head. And I think they're very applicable. If you have anybody in your home that's under 25, let's say, I have 4, but they're on the older side of that spectrum. If you always hand them something, and I don't think I understood this until they were a little bit older. If you're always doing for them, and all they have to do is wake up and brush their teeth and carry their books to school and carry them home, everything's done for them. They don't have to think about where their food's coming from. They don't have to think about how their bed's getting made, who's going to do their laundry, who's going to make their breakfast. They don't think about any of those things. It's just all given to them. They tend not to have a sense of self as much as somebody who's had to fight for things, right? Or has had to step up and be independent. And it's really an interesting study. Take kids that are, take two sides of a different, maybe like take a blended family, for example, and take the idea that half of those kids grew up with one parent and half grew up with the other. And one parent was a do-for-all, don't want my kids to suffer, never want them to feel challenged, everything is easy. And the other parent is like, I can't deal with this by myself. You do the laundry. You help take care of the other one. You do and they had more responsibility put on them. And then if they wanted something, they wanted the latest toy, well, they had to work for it. Why? Because money was tight and, or they had to find a way. Whereas the other half, maybe they just asked for it and they were given. The way those children grow up is so different. And the internal feelings that they have about themselves and their capabilities and their risk taking, I don't mean risk in a crazy way, I mean risk like trying something new, is so very, very different. So like that tree, we have to give ourselves some stressor. We have to give ourselves some challenge or obstacle. And, when it comes to thinking about how to grow your year can start any day. It doesn't have to start on New Year's. It doesn't have to start on your birthday. It doesn't have to start on Independence Day or Bastille Day or whatever day. It can start tomorrow. It can start in this moment. I'm willing to share my birthday with you. So let's make this our year going forward, right? What are we going to do with it? But don't wait for things to get easier or simpler or better, because it is not going to happen. Not going to happen. Life will always be complicated. Just learn to be happy right now. Learn to see where things are in this moment and decide how you want to move forward. Because if not, time's going to run out. I don't know about you, but since the day I turned 18, it seems like the years go by faster. And then when I graduated college, even faster. And then when I had my kids, it was about them. It started to go even faster. And now I wake up on Monday morning, and the next thing I know, it's like, oh, it's Friday already. How did that happen? Time is flying. And the only way to slow that down is to track your progress and to be going for something that you want. Some improvement, 1% better. That's all you need, 1% a day. And if you don't track it, you're basically sleepwalking, right? So pick something, anything. We've talked before about the audit. Take the snapshot of where you are today. Be like, with the camera, click. If you looked at a picture, what would you see? Just the facts. I get it. We all have, adversity. We all have things that brought us to where we are. And I no way am trying to minimize any traumas, any bad things, any of that. But you cannot move forward if you're always looking in the rearview mirror. Have you ever tried to drive a car always looking in the rearview mirror? You can't do it. And maybe that's why the rearview mirror is so small and the windshield is so big, because you're supposed to be focused forward. And it's only for reference. Do you look in the back? Do you use your side mirrors? Do you use your rearview mirror? Just for reference, because we need to be looking, how do I want to improve upon this? These are the lessons that we need to seek in our year, because they're always going to be there. You know what? It could be rearranging your cabinet again to make it even that much more organized. It could be finally taking control of your calendar and being thoughtful about your time blocking. It could be, I want to save, $1,000 this year so that I can do whatever. I can buy tickets to the show that the show that I want. So it's about slowing it down by focusing on those things that you truly enjoy. So I have a comment here. The last 10 years have gone by so fast for me. Marriage, separation. I'm now rebuilding all over again. I have so much support here in these sessions. Thank you so much. That means a lot, right? Because that's what we're here for. These sessions are all about you, and we want to be here to support you. And this is, I'm not making up anything. I'm not telling you anything that you don't already know. I'm just reminding you of it. Like, you're perfect exactly exactly as you are. And you're in the place that you need to be. And, I'd say I'm sorry about the marriage and separation thing, but honestly, don't take this the wrong way, but I'm excited for you. Because if you were in the wrong relationship and you realized that, and now you're rebuilding, like, that's super exciting. You can rebuild your life into any way you want to be. And if it's not something that you wanted, I am sorry about that. And there's not much that you can do, but focus inward and rebuild for you and your family, if you have one, right? This is exciting. Like, every day is a clean slate. You can show up and be anybody you want to be at any given moment. And you can decide to take a left turn. Why? Just because. And okay, people might think that they might question your decision or your choices, but that's their problem. If it works for you and you're not hurting anybody and you're trying to do something great with your life, go for it. We live in a world of, and I've said this before, of crabs in a bucket, right? You put one crab in a bucket, it will climb out. You put multiple crabs in the same bucket, they'll pull each other back in all the time. That's how our social and communities tend to work. And especially with social media, I'm not a huge fan, but I'm trying to be. And I see it with my kids. My kids are in their early 20s and they're very influenced by who's doing what and what's happening. And, and the idea of standing up for themselves and saying, you know what? I love that you're, I don't know. I love that you have a poodle and you paint its hair pink, but I think I want to have a donkey instead. Like people would think they were crazy. And I know I come up with these crazy scenarios, but I think you get the idea. If you want to take a left turn because that works for you, take it. Dennis Waitley said, personal development is the belief that you are worth the effort, time, and energy needed to develop yourself. I heard that and I was like, wow, that's so true. I'm going to repeat that again. Personal development is the belief that you are worth the effort, time, and energy needed to develop yourself. You're worth it. You absolutely are worth it. And you have every opportunity that you choose to take, right? This is about growing yourself. How do you want to do that? Benjamin Franklin said, without continual growth, words such as improvement, achievement, and success have no meaning. And they don't. If you're not growing and improving and making progress, what does improvement mean? What does achievement mean or success mean? These are all the things for you, right? And we're here at Life Coach University and Let's Coach 2023 and our PIF talks and all of the coaches here, like we support you because you are you. It's amazing, the enlightenment that when you start down this road and you really get it, like sometimes it makes sense, but you'll wake up one day and it will be like, I got it. Like when that happens, it's so exciting and it's electrifying and you just want to share it with everybody. And it's very true. I mean, I'm a year older today and I'm loving it. And I'm loving it because I'm finally finding my place in the world. And my place in the world is here with you guys and is I want for you what you want for you. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Ramit Sethi, but he wrote a book called I Will Teach You to Be Rich. He also has a show on, I think it's Netflix, same thing, and a podcast. I happened to hear him talk to another podcaster yesterday, Mel Robbins, and he was talking about the rich life. And he asks his clients, what is your rich life? So I'm asking you, what is your rich life? What is it, your growth life? What is the life that you want to have? And it could be in his mind, like in what he does, because he's talking about money, right? Is what would it mean for you to feel and act and be rich for that moment? And some people came in and said, well, you know what? For me, it's being able to take my family on vacation. That would mean I have a rich life. Mel Robbins, she's hysterical. She's like, I go to dinner and I buy every dessert on the menu at the end of the meal with my friends. Why? Because dessert's fun. Everybody loves dessert. And so he's like, okay, but what does it mean to have a rich life? What if you quadrupled that? And she's like, I don't know, I'd buy dessert for every dessert on the menu for everybody in the restaurant. And he's like, he was laughing about it, but it's true. And what he was saying was, that's not what I'm talking about when I say quadruple it. I want to know bigger, go more thoughtful. Okay, why do you want to buy dessert for everybody in the restaurant? Well, because it brings them happiness. Okay, how can you bring them happiness and go bigger? I don't, and they went on and on. I'm not going to recount the whole thing for you, but that's the point. think outside the box. Why, if you were living the life you want to live, if you were growing to the place where you think you can be, where's that going to be? Who is that? What does it look like? Get excited. It could be the house that you want to live in. It could be the experiences you want to have. It could, whatever that is. Today is not too soon to be thinking about that. And then you can plan down the road. I mean, that was part of this conversation was, okay, your rich life is in all expenses, first class trip to Italy, right? And you give it yourself a date, 5 years, 10 years down the road. Okay, and then you dream about how much do you think that would cost you? Add some extra to it just to cushion. And then break it down. If you're going that far out, break it down into what it means for you every month, every day. It's breaking it down to the ridiculous, right? Let's say that that trip is going to cost you $10,000, being conservative and padding it. And that would give you the feeling of a rich life. It's going to cost you $10,000. Well, over 10 years, that's only $1,000 a year. That's less than $100 a month you have to save. That might be $3 a day. Could you choose to save $3 a day? It's the same thing with your life growth, right? If you want to be where you want to be in 3 months, 6 months, 5 months, 5 years, a year, whatever that time frame is, decide where it is and then back into it all the way down to today so you can get at least 1% better every day. I really appreciate you guys being here and allowing me to do my birthday event. I'm super excited. So I'm going to close my portion of this just by adding, in the end, it's not the years in your life that count. It's the life in your years. And I want us all to have an amazing life in our years. Thank you so much for joining me. Again, I'm Liz Cresci, Strategic Growth Coach. You can find me at thelegacyofgrowth.com. You can reach me at hello@Life Coach University. I'd love to have conversation. I'd love to hear, if there's things that you want to talk about. I appreciate your interaction. And we are brought to you by Life Coach University. Tell your friends, tell people just to check it out. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us at lifecoachuniversity.com. We spend our time trying to be in the right place at the right time for you. And we love you. And I thank you. So I'll see you next week. Have a good one.